Welcome to CAS 133, Columbia Gorge Community College, the Dalles, Oregon, Mrs. Hughitt, instructor. And this is the other part on the final project. This is if you want to try photo story, which I highly encourage you to do. You're here to learn. Why not take the advantage of learning? Now, the one warning I do need to put out right now is that photo story will not download and work on Windows 8 machines or Macs. So if you're running a Mac or you're running a Windows 8 machine, you will need to go to the college or someplace else that's running a Windows 7 machine. Now, if you happen to be sitting around with an XP or Vista machine at home still, it'll work on that. The only thing that's a requirement is that machine must have some version of PowerPoint on it. It can be ancient, but it has to be there. It uses a little Kodak that PowerPoint has to help run photo story. And so any machine with photo story does have to have the PowerPoint version on it. But it can be like a XP version of PowerPoint, or 2000 or 2003. It can be one of the much older versions, and it will work fine. So you're going to have, kind of walk you through it. You're going to have a title slide. We haven't talked quite about how to get that yet, but we will before we're done with this video. That title slide does need to have obviously the name of the presentation. So in my other example, I used the example of elephants, but if this is like Christmas, family Christmas, or whatever it is you're doing, you need to put the slide, create a slide with the title and with your name on it. Same as the last video, it has to be turned in during finals week by the time it's posted in Moodle. Usually that's that last Saturday of the week, but it can vary just depending on the particular week and what else is going on in my world even somewhat. So be sure you watch for that. Make sure it's turned in on time. And if you don't have a final project in, again, the highest you can get is a C. Now, sometimes people are scared to try photo story. Oh, I've never done it before. It's reasonably simple. It's sort of disaster-proof in most ways. Only a couple of places people run into problems, and I've got those directions in here to avoid it. So be brave. Go for it. Give it a try. See what it does, because unless you've ever tried it, you're not going to know what you can do, and when else are you going to have a better chance? And people are like, oh, but it's my final project. That means you're a little bit braver and willing to learn and step out, and I keep that in mind. I don't think I've ever given a grade lower than a B on a photo story. Can't say that about a PowerPoint, sadly. I think I had one photo story disaster, but that was a very unusual situation. Person not listening and following directions, doing own thing totally. But other than that, they've always been A's and B's. So that should kind of calm your nerves and let you be braver. You will need 2 PowerPoint slides. Now you can have more. Every one of them can be a PowerPoint slide. You could do this as like a scrapbooking if you're a scrapbooker. And I'm not, but I do scrapbook with this. If you're a scrapbooker and you want to like put together a really cool PowerPoint slides with scrapbooking and, you know, word art and all the cool things on it and colored backgrounds and all those cool things, and that's great. It works. It works really well, actually, in a photo story. If you want to keep it a little simple, they can be a title slide and an ending slide, because you only have to have 2. They can have pictures. They can include typed information. Obviously, title slide needs title and your name. The last slide may be needing to be a sources slide. So keep that in mind for copyright. That last slide might be your sources slide, and it will be made in PowerPoint. Now, you're going to want to make sure you've viewed the how to make a photo story video. You can add music from either within photo story, because it does have its own built-in kind of music. Obviously, there's no copyright with that. If you take things from the internet or from your own CDs, as long as you're using them only in class, you probably are okay. Just know that if you start using them outside of class or upload them to the internet or use them for performances to the public, you're not okay. You are outside of copyright at that point. Also, they do have to be in, I'm thinking it's MP3 format to be brought in, And a lot of your iTunes are, I think, MP4. So you have to have a converter and know how to use it to be able to get it to the right file format. So a lot of times it's just simpler to use the built-in music. So that's totally up to you if you know how to do it. I encourage voiceover, adding some voice to it. Have some other people help you with voices if you want to. Have your kids, parents, grandparents, anything like that you can add to it. Just listening to this like Rinny Tinny Tin type music going on and on and on and on and nothing else is happening isn't the best results. So you can use a microphone and record for sound. If you don't have a microphone, ask at the college, at the library. I'm sure they can come up with a microphone for you. I can't imagine that they couldn't. Of course, I might be surprised. Lots of things surprise me. Make sure you create a sources slide at the end if your information and or pictures came from someplace other than your own personal material, like that elephant. If you had to look up information about it, it's got to be source slide. Yeah, it's got to be cited in your sources there. Now, here's one difference between PowerPoint and PhotoStory. Unless you're making your slides in PowerPoint, which if you are, and then you're converting all of them to PhotoStory, then that's fine. Put your picture source on your slide. If you're just taking pictures and putting directly into PowerPoint, it's really hard to get that www on the slide in a size that fits really well in a space that's not over the top of something else. So in PhotoStory, I will allow you to source your pictures on the back slide. Now, it's really nice if you say what source goes with what. Baby elephant, www. Mom and baby elephant, www. Okay, so that I could kind of tell what went with what, and anybody watching it can use that. So that kind of talks about the basics of it. So just to walk you through how you make a PowerPoint and then make it so it's usable for PhotoStory. You make the PowerPoint just like normal. Do all the cool things you want to do. 2 slides or more. Okay. Then you save it as usual. So it saves as a PPTX. Then you save it a second time, and this time you're going to use that Dropbox like we used when we were doing TXT and JPEGs the very first week. Excuse me. It'll ask if you want to save all the slides or just that slide. Since you're going to have at least 2, you're going to want to pick all slides. It's also really nice if you can kind of direct it where you want it to go so you don't have to go hunt for it. I usually suggest the desktop or your flash drive. Also, it's a nice place to just stick it in with your pictures if you've pulled your pictures that you're reusing separate as well. Then, this is basically how it goes. So I've saved it as a PowerPoint. Now I went to File. I went to Save As. And I've dropped this box right here. This is the list you'll get, and you want JPEG or JPEG right there. Click it, click Save. It'll ask you if you want one or all, and you want all. So how do you get it? Well, you go to Microsoft.com. There's usually they rebuild the page every, I swear, week, but it might be month. So it doesn't do me any good to photo it for you, because by the time you see that, it's going to have changed who knows how many times. So look for the word Downloads. You want to go to Downloads. And then search PhotoStory. You'll have to use the search box. And it'll say PhotoStory 3. And it may say PhotoStory 3 for XP. It's okay. It's the same PhotoStory. That's why it only works for XP, Vista, Windows 7. I think it works on 2000 as well. You can run it on a 2000 machine, but there aren't many of those out there. And then you go ahead and install it. And make sure, like I said, first the machine has some sort of a PowerPoint on it, and off you go. You're good to go. Now the simple solution, if that doesn't work for you, you're running Windows 8 or you don't have PowerPoint on the old machine or something like that, is go to the library. The college library has PhotoStory installed on some of the machines just for your use. They did it on purpose for our class and our class alone. So If you're not sure which machine, ask somebody that works there. They should be able to identify to you which machines have photo story on them, provided just for your use, and go for it. If there's one in the back in one of those like little study carrels, those are great, because then you can use the microphone and make all the noise you want recording, and nobody's going to be bothered. Then once you have it done and you get to this screen, this is where people get into trouble because they're not sure quite what to do. First thing is, you're going to want to make sure you save the project. That's what saves kind of that raw, rough project, so you could go back and edit it if you look at it and go, whoopsie, I can't believe I called that kid by the wrong name. None of us parents have ever made that mistake. So then, after you've saved it, and you're back to this screen again, and I would encourage you to save it a lot as you go, but you've done that final save. Then you go to settings, and you want to decide how good of resolution you want it in and what settings for the machine. Now, if you're going to try to run it back on an older machine, you're looking at the 640 by 480. It's kind of grainy and it's not great. For the more powerful machines, a 1024 by 768 works pretty good, and my machine's definitely powerful enough to handle that. So you don't have to worry too much about my machine on that. Then you're also going to want to browse right here and figure out where you're saving it. Otherwise, you're going to be hunting for it. And then after that, you're going to want to go to next, and that is going to be what kind of takes you to the next step. And this is what's going to move it from basically a WMV file and get it into, or moves it from the WP3 file, which is the raw photo story file that's huge and you probably can't upload, and then to the WMV file, which is the actual video that you will be able to upload at a reasonable size and works well for you. It'll go through these steps. You will see the difference here. This is a copy of how it looks on my desktop, where it says this colorful. It's pretty. It's real colorful. That's the raw one that needs to still be finished. This is the finished version. It has this film track like the old films did. And so once it's gone through this save and it gets this, you're going to want to upload this. This is what I need turned into me in Moodle. This you just keep as a backup copy in case of disaster, or in case you don't, and play this back in case you don't like it. I've done these and made more than one of these, 4, 5, 6 copies of it before I'm happy. Oh, the volume's too loud on the background music, or oh, I stumbled on that. I want to go back and take that whole narration out and put it back in again, or oh, I don't like the resolution on this. I want to fix that. All of those could be fixed by opening this original one again and just redoing it. Throw the first one away, start over again. These cannot be edited or changed, so trash them and start over and make a new one. And I've done that multiple times, so you can as well. On the sources, like I said before, you need to have a source slide at the end for any research you've done, and you can also put your images there. It's nice to identify which image. Now, if you were the photographer or your family was the photographer, you could say photos by, real quick and easy that way. Extra credit is exactly the same as with the PowerPoint. Basically, you can make 2 of them. If you have not earned 40 points already from doing the book PowerPoint or book assignments, if you've got partial credit for the book assignments, or you did one but didn't never get around to the second one, you can do it up and do an extra credit final, and I will take you up to that maximum of 40. So it's up to you, but those also have to be done by that last due date marked in Moodle and uploaded into Moodle. There is a link for them there. And they need to be basically follow the same exact directions as the project. No changes, no surprises. So if you have any questions, send me an email. And otherwise, this is creative. Have lots of fun. And I look forward to seeing what you're able to create.